Hey YouTube, I'm back with another deck profile. Now I'm going to shift focus a little bit here. I'm going to go on the remaining decks that I feel they're pretty good and fun to play. Competitive wise, like in terms of tournament, I wouldn't feel that confident taking any of these next decks I'm going to be posting this week. They're certainly not terrible, but they're certainly not like the greatest. So today we're going to be looking at my Bluish Flame Liberator Gold Paladin deck. So this is actually my main Gold Paladin deck. It's not, well, I don't know, like, it's not really, I kind of think it's a budget deck because it doesn't run Prominence and Glare, for those wondering. So it's a little bit retuned, but it's still mostly the same Bluish Flame deck that I've had, which is basically the one I posted a couple months ago, I think, last year sometime, but the only difference is now they have the Liberator Stride unit, as you can see here, from the Winter's Fires collection. The nice thing I do want to mention about this guy is that you don't need the Bluish Flames to use this guy. You just need to have a Liberator. So, let me just make sure. Choose one. If you have a heart with Liberator, yeah. So, the Liberator, you have to have Liberator in the heart. So you can potentially use this with Monarch Alfred, or any of the Season 3 Break Ride format, like Ganslot, Gansal Zenith, even like Garmor, Liberator, and all those guys. And he'll work just fine in there as well. So, but I am running the Bluish Flame still, so I took him in, put him in the Bluish Flame deck. So we'll go over my Bluish Flames. So this Bluish Flame deck is a Prominence core build. It focuses on comboing and attempting to get the critical trigger, but thanks to the Stride unit, it doesn't have to focus only on that play anymore. Now granted, Glare is probably better because his effect of not being able to guard is kind of like a GB2 kind of skill, but Core is still a pretty decent card. He's a fun card, so I like him. So for Bluish Flame Prominence Core, and for Bluish Flame Liberator Percival. So Percival is from the trial deck. Yeah, so he basically can superior call something from the deck for free. So that's what these guys do. Next, for Oath Liberator Aglovel, he is the Legion mate for both Prominence Core and Percival. I feel like the nice thing about him is he doesn't have to be placed from the deck. Just when he plays on R. I feel like 4 is a must-have, so absolutely 4 is a must. And then next, for Regulation Liberator Aglovel. So he is an 11k attacker when your Vanguard has Bluish Flame in the name. So a lot of people were posting saying I should run Fallon instead of Aglovel since I'm not running Glare. And the only reason why I'm not running Fallon, yeah, in the second attack, if you have a Fallon out, yeah, he's 12, whereas this guy would only be 9. But typically, you'll be attacking an opponent's 9k Vanguard, which 12 and 9 doesn't really make that much of a difference that turn. And because all my Vanguards are Bluish Flame anyway, he'll be my 11k attacker. So, and with the 10k Bruno behind him, he's still 21, so doesn't really matter. The main reason why I run him at 4 over the other guy, Fallon, is because he has the ability of when he's placed on R from the deck, he can Soul Blast 1 to look for a Bluish Flame added to the hand. So he searches out your Stride fodder essentially, so you do not need to run Stride fodder in here. Next, 3 of the new Fighters Collection support card. So 3 Sword Principal Liberator Magnus. 3 of him instead of 4 of him because he doesn't gain any power, and he has to be placed on R from the deck. And on top of that, you have to have 2 or more cards with Liberator in its original card name on your Vanguard circle. So he really works with the Legion. So you cannot use him. You can't spam him early, like when you're not in Legion, which is another thing I don't like about him. But he does. He can call a unit to the field. And if it's a Bluish Flame, you can return it to your hand. So he can potentially also search out Stride fodder in addition to Aglovel. So that's pretty good. And the other thing worth mentioning is if you're in Legion with Prominence Core, and he gets his skill off where he calls, and he happens to call a Bluish Flame, that triggers the Legion skill to gain the 3k and the crit, and then the Bluish Flame can return to the hand as Stride Fighter next turn. So Magnus does open up some interesting plays, but because he is kind of like meant to be used with when you're in Legion mode, you can't really rush or do anything with him otherwise, so you can't really like use that skill unless, you know, you're in Legion. So that's why I feel like 3 is enough. For Aglovale, I actually might drop him to 2 and bring back in that guy that came out in the GBT 2, I think. Because he was in here before, and he had the ability to unflip, so... But for right now, yeah, I'm just running it like this. For grade 1s, 3 Bluish Flame, or Life Formation Liberator Edir, he's the Bluish Flame Sentinel. And then 1 Igraine, she's a Liberator Quintawall. I might take her out and bump this back up to 4. But she's still pretty good because it is Legion focused still heavily, so yeah. And she combos very nicely with Guinevere. Guinevere actually is kind of like another really good Liberator defensive card. So similar to how Gurguit had lots of tanky power, I kind of kept these for a lot of tank power also. And then for Bruno, he's a must-do. I've got like 8 of these. I got like too many of these for my own good. So I can potentially build a second Liberator deck and use my Liberator marks with the other Brunos. But yeah, for Bruno, he's like a really, really important card. You gotta run 4 of him. 3 Josephius, Soul Blast draw. And then 2 Zaran. Because the support card that they got was a grade 2. And I kind of feel like they could have used a grade 1 instead of a grade 2. Since I did like the other guy that they got earlier. So the guy with the sword, I forgot his name. The guy who can unflip. For the trigger lineup, 4 Catch Gal, stands. Liberator stand, really good stand. It allows the Quintawall to be really strong defensively. And then 4 of the new, not really new anymore, but the Liberator thing, the other Liberator critical, which is for Bluish Flames because it can search Bluish Flame also. So lots of ways to get Bluish Flames, so you don't really need Stride Fodder. And then just 4 other Bluish Flame BT16 criticals, or I guess Liberator criticals. I don't know why I keep saying Bluish Flame. And then 4 of the Liberator heal trigger, which actually came with Percival. So this is the one meant for the Bluish Flames. And then Flaming Passion Liberator Guido, because he doesn't use any Counterblast. Yeah, he's stuck at you having to be in Legion, but it honestly, it really doesn't matter. If they blow him up, then whatever. He can be thrown back in the deck with Legion. So on to the strides. Stride, just like Evangeline and Seal Dragon. 4 Bluish Flame, True Liberator, Holy Flame. Honestly, you only need 4 of him. You don't need Spear Cross. You don't need any other stuff. If you already have 2 Spear Cross, then you can get like 3 of this instead of 4 of this. But 4 of this is really good. And then it's 2 Campbell, 1 Madu because of all the Legion mates, and then 1 Blizza. So, like I said, just like with Evangeline, and with the Seal Dragon stuff, these are in here, especially these 3, I even Blizza sort of, are in here kind of just like as fodder to flip up on this guy. So just like with how I explained the Evangeline one, same thing. You're sitting on this guy, you haven't Legion yet, or whatever. You stride him, you flip one of them up, then the end turn, he goes here. Then your second stride is him again. You flip up this. Now you have 2. So you get to look at 6 and call 2. And then you stride him again. Stride him 3rd time. And you will probably flip up this or this out of your 3 remaining stride units. So whatever this. So yeah. And now you get to look at 3 cards, call 1 up to 3 times. So It's better than Spearcross, I think, at least. Because you will mill and call, or not mill, but like cycle enough that it does justify running like 4 of this. But yeah, 3 is good enough, really, but 4 is kind of ideal, so that you don't have to run super counterblast heavy stuff like Spearcross when your deck already does counterblast quite a bit. So anyway, that's going to be my Bluish Flame, Prominence Core, and Holy Flame deck. Let me know in the comments below what you would change in terms of grade 1, 2 lineup. And as always, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.